people understand that in the United States.
So she still enjoys, good relations in the corridors of power in America.
Well, people in the United States, I think in the Obama administration, certainly in the Senate and the House, where I do so much work, I think America fully respects what Pakistan is sacrificing in the fight against terrorism. That Pakistan has suffered more than any other nation on earth from these terrorists. That Pakistan has lost more civilians than the U.S. lost in 9/11. Pakistan has lost more military and police than the United States has lost, and NATO has lost combined. And it's Pakistani children who are being blown up, and Pakistani women who are being blown up. And it was, I think, the greatest leader of Pakistan who was assassinated. No country on earth has sacrificed more fighting terrorism than the people of Pakistan, the country of Pakistan. And I think that the United States government and the United States Congress appreciates that, and I think that's the reason that the commitment of funds to Pakistan is now quadrupled. It's $7.5 billion over the next 5 years, and it's for the first time not just a military relationship and an exploitive military relationship that the people of Pakistan thought was in the 1980s and certainly in the 2000s was the U.S. using Pakistan as a surrogate in wars, first against the Soviets in the 80s in Afghanistan, and then in the war on terrorism. I mean, the relationship has now fundamentally been altered to become a much more mature bilateral social and economic partnership. These $7.5 billion above and beyond whatever the U.S. government is doing to help the Pakistani military, the $7.5 billion will be used for energy infrastructure, for education, for health, and for agriculture. This is a long-term commitment of the United States, not just militarily to Pakistan, but really to the future of a democratic Pakistan with a viable economy. I think Pakistan's position in the United States has never been stronger than it is now.
Yeah, you played a role in Joe Biden legislation, and how was that experience? Was it easy, or was it a difficult task for you?
Well, Vice President Biden, when he was senator, introduced legislation with Senator Lugar, so it was Biden-Lugar legislation that would make this long-term commitment, this multi-year commitment to Pakistan. And of course, now now Senator Biden is Vice President Biden, and Senator Kerry became chairman of the committee, the Foreign Relations Committee, and he and Senator Lugar worked, and in the House, Congressman Berman worked on this package, and obviously as the lobbyist for the government, I worked very hard on that, working with the ambassador and working with the Pakistani embassy. And although it's not everything we would have wanted it to be, it is a fundamental long-term commitment, and it's a very significant amount of money. I mean, now Pakistan is being treated as one of America's greatest allies, and the U.S. has put its money where its mouth is.
People in Pakistan,
yes,
they have this impression that the Americans are always talking about the Indians. They have more interest in India than in Pakistan because the multinational companies are there. Most of the multinationals' investment is in India. So whenever it comes to talking about both countries, when they make a comparison as such, they tilt towards India. The Americans have a tilt towards India instead of Pakistan.
I don't buy that. First of all, historically, it was never true. I mean, during the years of the Cold War, India was aligned with the Soviet Union, and Pakistan was aligned with the West. So that certainly wasn't the case until 1990. Now, of course, we're dealing with a situation that, in terms of population, the Indians are 1 billion, and when we are 180 million, that's a big big difference in terms of market. And obviously, U.S. companies are doing a lot of business with India, but U.S. companies are doing increasingly a lot of business with Pakistan. And I think as the security situation stabilizes, I think you're going to see more and more international investment led by U.S. investment in Pakistan. The United States understands that for Pakistan to be politically secure, it has to be economically viable and economically secure. And the U.S. government and U.S. private industry is going to be pouring a lot of resources into strengthening the economy of Pakistan.
So at this time, the Americans are not planning to quit. After the Cold War, the Americans left.
You know, on February 15th, 1989, the Soviets left Afghanistan, and then the joke we say in Pakistan is that the Americans took the next bus out of town on February 16th, and that was a bitter experience, I think, for the people of Pakistan, because they felt used and exploited and like a pawn, and that's why I think the Kerry Lugar concept is so fundamentally different, because it's a multi-year. It's 5-year, and it's supposed to be doubled again for 10 years. Legally you can only authorize legislation for 5 years, but it's clear that the commitment is really for 10 years, and this is something that we never had between the United States and Pakistan before. The Pakistani people always felt that the United States would cut and run when they didn't need Pakistan any longer, and with the Kerry Lugar approach that's now the law of the land, we have a 10-year, fundamentally a 10-year commitment by the United States to the people of Pakistan, and this is long-term, and it's secure, and I think it's a real signal that America is with Pakistan in the long run, not just in the short term.
So, do you think that with this, Kerry Lugar bill, the trust deficit between the two countries?
I hope so. After the earthquakes, and the U.S. poured in a lot of economic assistance to the earthquake victims in Pakistan, support or distrust for the United States went down, and support for America's image at least went up among the people of Pakistan. And I hope that as the Kerry Lugar money starts to really produce a benefit for the life of the people, that when these energy projects go forward, when these educational projects go forward, when these health projects go forward, that the people of Pakistan will really appreciate that this bilateral relationship is something new and different, and the past is the past, but the future is going to be something much more positive.
So, isn't it tough for you, in states lobbying for Pakistan, because on the other end, the Indians have very strong lobbyists with them. So
Indians have what they have in the United States. There's a very, very large and rich Indian American community, and they are a huge asset to the government of India in terms of political activity. The Indian community is one of the most affluent minority communities in America, and they are extremely politically active. We have a much smaller Pakistani American community, and it is far less politically active. So that is a difficult situation, obviously. But it's Pakistan who is, in terms of the situation of the security of South Asia, and in terms of the war against terrorism and extremism, it's Pakistan who is paying the price and is in the front trenches of the war on terrorism, and that gets a lot of credit and respect in the United States. So even though India may be bigger, Pakistan is the one that is dying and bleeding and standing up for against extremism, and I think that countervails the Indian presence and the potential of the Indian advantage. I don't see it as an advantage now. I think Pakistan is very, very well respected by the United States government, by the United States Congress, and above all by the people of the United States of America.